Welcome to Centered Presents The Future of Health. Join me, Christina Walecka, along with Dr. Molly Brown, as we dive deep into the world of brain-based wellness.
In each episode, we will explore cutting-edge insights and practical techniques that empower you to achieve optimal health and super high-energy living.
Tune in and start your journey toward a healthier, more vibrant you. We are so excited today to be joined by Bianca Smith, a local Sun Valley resident who is an incredible skier, high schooler, and someone who's gone through, the normal ups and downs of a high school experience while being a competitive athlete. So welcome, Bianca. We're so happy to have you here.
Hi, thank you.
And Molly and Bianca have worked together now going on about a year. And Bianca, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and kind of what brought you into Molly in the first place?
So maybe about 2 years ago, I was having this terrible back pain. And it was unbearable. I couldn't ski without my back hurting really badly. And it was even getting to the point where I couldn't walk without pain. So my mom had been going to Molly prior, and she had a demo night. And so my mom decided to take me on her birthday.
So she forced you into it.
It was her birthday. Yeah. So she took me on her birthday to help me be pain-free, which was very sweet of her. And so we did one muscle there, and was it my glute muscle?
Yeah, that was a really fun night. We had about 25 people, and it was down in Haley at Megan and Emily's and Zach's gym. And at the end, I presented the AIM at work. We did demos. And so Bianca had been having this really bad back pain, and I made sure we did the demo with her because it was her mom's birthday. And so she was the first person. And so we checked the glute max sacral, which is a lot of times where we start with lower back. And we corrected one muscle.
And I instantly felt lighter on my feet, and I felt better.
The pain just immediately disappeared, right?
It went away.
Yeah, I think, we just did that one muscle for a while, and you went skiing and...
Yeah, and it was really good for a long time. And then later on, we came in for some tune-ups, and I never felt my back again.
To this day?
Yeah.
Cool.
That's awesome. They've held up really well.
And that's something I know how much you love skiing, and that's such a big part of your identity, to be worried about not being able to do it for a lifetime, especially being as young as you are. You're probably I need to fix this and I need to fix it now.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it turns out that the whole ski team has back pain, the entire ski team. It thwarts your training, right? So you can't accelerate and train at the level you want to train at to improve if you're having pain. So that was our first victory. And then normal teenage life, there's ups and downs in all ways, right? So then fast forward to this year. What were your challenges this year?
Well, in the beginning of the year, I felt pretty strong. Okay. I mean, I had a few little minor pains, maybe in my wrist and stuff. But going into my first race, I was doing pretty well, but I was really off balance.
Okay.
My body was really off balance, and I was getting twisted around and everything. Mm-hmm. And I ended up hooking up my shoulder on a gate, and I had a big crash.
First race?
Yeah, my first race. I had finished one race the day prior, and the second day I was out.
Was that the concussion or no?
That's the one where I got whiplash and I hit my head and my back. And so they took me down in a toboggan. I mentioned my back hurt, so they wanted to ship me straight into an ambulance. Yeah. So it was a little bit dramatic.
Yeah. Well, the forces, what speeds are you going at?
You can get up to, in a GS course, you could get up to 40 miles per hour.
Yeah, so there's significant crashes. The whole body goes into shock and trauma.
Yeah.
Which is not only did you get injured, but you also then doubted yourself and had anxiety over ever racing again, right?
Yeah, it was tough because everyone was really concerned, and I was hurting, my back was hurting completely. And the last time I'd gotten hurt and had to be taken down in a toboggan, I had broken my collarbone, and I was out for the rest of the season.
Yeah. What age was that?
I was 12.
Every time you get hurt, is there a fear of getting back on the course?
Absolutely. After I broke my collarbone, I didn't want to ski that one run where I broke it for probably the next 6 months back on snow the next year. And yeah, it definitely got to me.
How do you deal with that?
So it's hard, mentally. It's a lot more mental than it is anything physical. When you're not in pain, you have to think about it more. like in your head than you are like just thinking about the pain. You just have more of a sore memory in your mind. And I think Molly's work helps a lot with getting over mental challenges just as much physical.
Yeah, I mean, because then through the course of this year, well, there were multiple challenges this year, right? So there was the initial crash.
Yeah. Everything was really in the span of the end of December.
Okay.
What like major things that happened. The first crash was in Jackson Hole, the first race of the season. And then only a week later, we lost one of our teammates.
To suicide.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was devastating for the entire team. But it's just hard, and Christina, I'm sure you can speak to this more, but to encounter a teen suicide where you guys were skiing with your teammate the day before. The same day. Everything seemed fine. And to process and comprehend a suicide at this age is probably not even possible, right?
Well, when you're dealing with grief, which is the hardest thing to deal with on the mental health spectrum because no one grieves the same way. So there is no answer or solution to grieving. But then you're also dealing with what could I have done? How did I not know? How could I have been more helpful? How could I have maybe saved this person who I was just with a couple hours ago? And that's something, again, we have to learn from these experiences, move on, be willing to ask for support, teach other people that it's okay to ask for support, be vulnerable. And that's why, like, again, sharing experiences and being open about everything you're going through is so valuable and important as we try to rebuild this world that's, again, I think been struggling for a very long time.
Yeah. And when, Bianca, when you came in after the suicide too, I think you were also in a state of shock. Like you were starting to shut down. You couldn't, I don't think anyone can process a suicide very well, right? It's just a devastating event. But especially at such a young age with someone so vibrant who, had so much going for her. And so you probably wouldn't even have known how to ask for help. Your stomach was hurting, you were feeling, lack of motivation, sort of a state of shock. Like, is that accurate to describe how you were feeling?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't know what to think at first. During, like, the news, I was texting with some of my friends, and all of us, we didn't really know what to say.
No. Yeah.
And, of course, there was the feelings of guilt and what I could have done and, like, the things I thought or said to her that day and what could have been different. And so when I first came in, I feel like I was very unmotivated to do anything.
Yeah.
I was just trying to think about it all, think about how to talk about it, and I didn't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
And I think that was the main reason my mom took me in to do neuro and QNRT, because it was a lot easier for me than going to a therapist and just talking about it.
And that's the beauty of the QNRT and the neurofeedback is it's not necessarily talking through it, there's a component of that. It's just coming in and resetting the nervous system to the most incomprehensible levels of human experience and stress and just walking through it, right? And just resetting the nervous system, which after maybe one or a couple of resets allows you to start processing the emotions. And then we did an EEG, which can show anxiety patterns or depression patterns. And we just kind of piece by piece showed up. You did a really good job. We have to give you credit because your mom suggested it, and I don't think you were even really interested in coming in at first.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so at all. Like because you were just so shut down. Right?
Yeah, and I think the moment that I realized I needed something was after we'd gotten back on snow. We talked about it. We had meetings with our team.
With your team, yeah.
Yeah, and the first day back on snow was an early morning session on Greyhawk. It was dark out. It was cold and icy. And I just wasn't ready to be back. And I had ended up like smacking my hand on a gate, and I slid down Greyhawk, which is not a fun experience if you've ever been there. And I got up, I took my glove off, and I'm like, I think I broke my thumb. I couldn't get my glove back on, and I was just...
That was like a couple of days after?
Yeah, it was maybe 4 or 5 days after. It was on New Year's Eve.
Well, see, that's the whole thing. Like, it does whatever the stress is, right? Like, if you're in that level of stress,
Survival mode.
your balance is naturally, you're so prone to injury, right? So because your system can't handle it. And that's where then that injury then forced you to come in again.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then you came in again, and then we just gradually worked through the injuries of the season, the lack of motivation, the ensuing depression, the questioning of even continuing to ski. Like, who even cares about skiing when you've gone through, when the team has lost a team member to suicide, right? It's almost like you're just like going through the motions. Like, no one really cares. And then from the shock and the trauma of first injury, the suicide, getting injured again. And that's where then we kind of accelerated the work and came in, and, obviously your mom was really attentive to what you needed. Like, she didn't ignore it. She didn't say, let's put you on antidepressants. We actually like confronted it head on, and then tell us about your experience after a couple QNRT sessions and a couple neurofeedback sessions, which you showed up diligently for.
After a couple sessions, I was definitely a lot more confident, like back on my feet, and I was feeling better in school. I felt a little bit lighter, and I kind of thought about it less, which in a way it took some of the stress off of me.
Yeah.
And I was able to go back to skiing after I got my cast on.
Yeah.
And I tried instead of just giving up and just giving into the pain I was having with my hand and stuff. I kept going. And
you were at a point this winter where you were just like, I don't even think I want to ski anymore. You could have easily have shut down, started doing worse in school, quit the ski team after the couple accidents. I just, and you were like the star when you were even littler, right? Like, you were naturally talented at skiing. So it's, thank goodness we came in and turned it around for you. So after a couple QNRT and neurofeedback sessions, I saw little glimmers of smiles. I saw some glimmer of like happiness come back, and just your stomach aches subsided, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I was having migraines at the time too, and those got better, and I could focus and pay more attention in school.
That's why the QNRT work is so powerful. Again, like talk therapy, which I've done, which I lived through. Like, even if you were to come in and do talk therapy, 1, it's hard to open up and form a trusting relationship. Yeah. 2, where the heck do I start? 3, you're making me talk about the thing that's making me miserable.
Yeah.
4,
it can sometimes make it worse, don't you think, Christina?
You get you get stuck in this, and you talk about it. Maybe you talk about it for years. Yeah. And it's like, no, I want to just like move on and feel better. And that's why the QNRT is such an amazing body of work, because 1, even if you didn't really want to talk about something, your priority stress comes up, and we can look at the overarching feeling and situation without having to get like into the nitty gritty, and just reset you and let you, again, you thought about it less. And that's what the QNRT does. It allows you to move on, process the trauma, and be free of it and feel lighter.
And I think I liked the work because I didn't stress about having to go in and like talk about it. And it was a place where I could feel safe and I could relax and rest. Like, I like sitting down for neuro every day. It was really nice and relaxing, and it made me feel better.
I think Dana told me, like, she could see you feel happier and more relaxed. That's exactly what she said.
And we see that time and time again, but I joke with people who come in for like intensives. Like, look, you're not going to like a week-long retreat spa, but you're not going into like a therapy month-long intensive clinical program. I'm like, you're going to be tired because your brain's doing a lot of work, but it is the most relaxing, again, being in Sun Valley, amazing situation where you're doing the best, most intensive, most freeing work you could do anywhere on the planet. So like, why wouldn't you want to do that? Why not?
And then we still had, after we started noticing you brighten up a little bit, day by day, you still had the challenge of coming back from the injuries.
Yeah.
And then the disappointment. So talk about a little bit like just the kind of progression of the disappointing season and how it ended.
So going into the first race, it was hard as a team. Some of our teammates were over on the East Coast, which was hard for them to leave after such a thing. Like, not everyone went that was invited because it was just a little too much. We had our program director of the Alpine program. He came with us, and I think that was actually really helpful. So he was there helping support the team, and it was a good experience to be there with our teammates, and we were all very close. We went out to Topgolf one night, which was a little difficult because I had a cast on my dominant hand, but we made it work. But in terms of the race, I struggled a lot. I put down my worst results
Where
of the
was that
season.
race?
In Snowbird.
Okay.
And it was really hard. It's already a challenging slalom course, and
Yeah.
it was even more challenging to still have my hand hurting when I had to hit gates down. And we ended up duct taping the pole to my hand, which helped a little bit. But again, it was a lot more in my head than it was actually in my body. It was a little disappointing for me. I was hard on myself going into my best event, the GS, which I didn't perform terribly in, but I was just really stressed and
you were just
down
off,
about.
you were stressed. And to the Sun Valley Ski Education Foundation's credit, like they are so supportive of every athlete, right? And they care and they want to give the support they can. But still, this is like probably a common story for athletes, in this situation. Like you were really disappointed, I remember, after that race, and you didn't qualify for sectionals, right?
Western regionals.
Western regionals, okay.
Mainly because of that race.
Yeah, because you would have normally qualified for that.
Most likely,
Correct. Yeah, okay.
If my season had started off a little differently.
Yeah.
We went into like the next open race, which was a Super G down in Jackson. And I was feeling a little bit better.
At this point, the cast was off, right?
No, I still had the cast
Still had it
on.
on, okay.
I wasn't going to go because
With
I was...
the tape pull.
I wasn't going to go because I was a little bit concerned about going at high speeds with a cast and a broken hand. But it was okay. I had done better as a U14, which was a little bit... it was a little bit sad for me, and it was a little bit troubling and hard to kind of just like think about it and admit that I was just not at the top of my game or feeling well.
There's different challenges, right? Like you can either start at the bottom and work your way up, but if you're always at the top from a young age and you're sort of a natural athlete, but then you start seeing a decline, that is a particular type of mental and emotional stress that's different from the other situation. And so that's how your season was going.
The hardest part was definitely seeing my friends excel, and I was kind of just stuck trying to heal myself and try and ski like I normally do and improve, and I wasn't really getting anywhere.
And then that itself is a level of anxiety and depression, and so that then started. Where did it go from there?
From there, once we got the cast off, I was supposed to be wearing a brace, and it dug into my hand. It was very painful. It was hard. And I had gotten sick after that Super G race, so I was out of training for a while.
Okay.
And we had our home race here, which it felt really odd because I haven't had a home race since I was a U12, I think. And going into that, it was just a really stressful experience for me. And I was not skiing amazingly, and there were a lot of girls here that normally wouldn't be here for like a regular qualifying race, which it was. So it, again, was another disappointment. But after, I got back on snow and training, I think it went a lot better because I had dropped the brace. I had just let go and forgot about my hand, and I was like, I need to like move on. And just like overcome this. And so we went into the Super G qualifier. I had not skied Super G for maybe 3 weeks before because I was sick and I was not really training much. And I think at that race, I felt a little bit better. They had like 2 sectors on the course, which was pretty cool to see. We don't usually get that at our races. And I was doing really well on the top sector, which was mainly flats, and it was just kind of going ski to ski gliding, and it was a little bit confidence boosting. I was having some of my best results of the season since before injuries. And I was feeling a little bit better. But with those sectors, I was able to kind of pinpoint what I was doing wrong. Because on the bottom half, it was like the steeps and kind of the more technical area. And that's kind of what I was thinking about going into training after that race. So like after that race, I'd realized I'd not qualified for Western regionals, but I didn't want to give up there because I knew that, tri-divisionals, not to say it was going to be an easy race, but it would have been easier for me to perform at because there was no pressure. There was nothing to really qualify for beyond that. And so I could kind of just like ski as hard as I'd like or not as hard as I like. And
it just took a little pressure off. And this was where in the work we had done. You had completed neurofeedback. You had done some QNRT. You definitely were visibly uplifted.
Were you doing weekly sessions or?
Yeah, I think we did
2 times a week.
2 times a week. Yeah, we did a little AIM-IT. We couldn't magically fix the fracture, right?
Yeah.
But we, I think we at least stabilized the muscles in the lower body, right?
Yeah, so we did a lot of muscles on my ankles, my toes, my neck, and kind of shoulders.
Yeah.
And
from the crash.
yeah, from the crash, everything that was tensed up.
Yeah.
And we kind of got it back to more balanced state.
Yeah.
And I think that helped me in training to kind of be able to work on my actual technical skiing and not worry about my body being off balance.
Yeah.
And so one morning we were on Rotorun, which isn't the largest mountain, but we were doing some Super G turns up there, and it was like maybe like 5 to 10 gates, and something just turned on. I was skiing really well. I was not, like, one side of my turns prior to that day had been really uneven. Like my right footers, I would just kind of slide into, slide out of, and they weren't clean arcs or anything. So that day I was balanced on both sides after we'd done all this work, and mentally I was feeling really strong.
I think we did an actual QNRT session resetting you to racing, right? Do you remember what the actual reset was?
I think we were doing confidence and like to not be afraid, to be fearless.
I know what it was: confidence and joy in competition, and going into the race with fearlessness. We reset you to that.
That's what we did, yeah.
Yeah.
So I was a little bit nervous because one of my coaches came up to me and he said, if you keep skiing like this, you're going to win the Super G when you're in Jackson. And I was like, I don't think so. I was being
You just
very
felt
humble,
your body and brain come together, right? So cool.
And so we went into that race, and I was we had our training run day of Super G, and I hadn't known how I did. I didn't feel very strong. I made a couple mistakes, but it was okay. It was nice. It was a course I knew. I was really confident
Where
on
was
the hill.
that one?
In Jackson Hole.
Okay.
It was the Super G I was super confident on. I'd run it like 10 times before.
Yeah.
So I had a little bit of a higher edge to like the other competitors from other places that I'd never run it before. And one of my friends from Park City, she sent me the list of like the results from the training run because it wasn't really widely like available.
Right.
And I had won the run by over 2 seconds.
You won.
Yeah.
I think I told you when you were leaving, I was like, you're going to go win everything.
Yeah.
You say that and it happens.
I could tell because you were in such a positive, it was such a turnaround from December to what month was that?
That was in March.
December to March, we've been through this journey of like, it could have been totally different, Bianca, and you did a good job of showing up and just being present. And your mom did an amazing job of seeking solutions for you, right? Like it could have been a different outcome.
Yeah.
And so it was this journey into like some initial challenges, and then a shock to the entire team, and grief and sadness, and then another injury, and then sort of lack of motivation and depression on your end. And you just gradually stayed present and worked through it. And, we kind of like walked through this journey of like a turnaround. And then, tell us about your results in that final race.
So that night I was like, oh, well, race day tomorrow. I was trying not to let it get to me that I had it in the bag because I still had to work for it.
For sure.
And I was like, oh, race tomorrow. Everyone's going to push a lot harder. So that means I have to bring more intensity as well. And the next 3 days, they went really well. I won the Super G by over 2 seconds again.
Again?
Yeah.
Amazing.
So, and then we went into GS.
Christina's going to be your biggest fan now. She'll be there with like, the signs.
So that was really nice. Yeah. Then we went to dinner, and me and my friend, we were kind of talking about like, oh, who do you think's like going to get overall and like win the rest of the races? And I kind of knew in the back of my head, I'm like, I think I could do it.
Yeah.
Because I had a lot of confidence, which I have not had in a long time.
Probably when you were really little, right? You had the natural athleticism, but then there's all these mental ups and downs about a high performance athlete at different stages, right? So what I think is actually amazing and we'll let you tell the continued result, but what's amazing about this journey of this year is that you ended in an empowered way, that that you can take it from probably the most doubt and the most lack of a confidence and the most anxiety into you are empowered now for the rest of your life to turn those situations around? So then tell us the last day.
So for the GS, I had won first run by over 2 seconds again. So
Seconds.
So it wasn't like the hardest race for me. I was a little bit disappointed I wasn't up in Schweitzer where all the better girls were and where like all the competition was. But I think it was okay. My coach was really happy I got my bearings back and I had a confidence booster, which definitely helped. And then the second run, it went well as well. Yeah. And I won that race by over 4.5 seconds. So
It's not even a competition at that point. Send them home.
So yeah, and then I had a lot of doubts going into the slalom because that was the main thing I've been struggling with since I've broken my collarbone doing slalom. Like I've not found any confidence in my skiing.
Yeah.
And my first run was okay. I had made, well, first of all, I'd started really far back because my points for slalom were terrible.
Yeah.
The reason I didn't get into Western Regionals was because of slalom.
Okay.
And so it wasn't really very like confidence boosting to be starting like 35th when I'd been starting like 10th the other 2 days, which would definitely gives you an advantage, especially with the soft snow in Jackson.
Yeah.
It gets really ruddy and stuff. I'd finished 6th after that first run, but I came to almost a complete stop at the end. Like I was either going to DNF or just scrubble my speed and finish.
Wow. Okay.
And it was important for me to finish the series because I was fighting for overall. I wanted the overall.
Yeah.
And so it was a big mistake, and I skated through the finish, and you could see me trying, which was, it was good. I was trying still after that. But going into the second run, it was kind of a different mindset. Okay. I was having about like the same start because of how they do the top 30 flip.
Yeah.
And I kind of knew how the snow was going to be and how I needed to ski.
Okay.
And I ended up finishing that run first by a half a second.
Wow.
That was amazing for me because I've never really done well in slalom since I was a little kid.
That's amazing, Bianca. And just so if people don't know, like when we're talking ski racing, we're usually talking tenths of seconds, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, even a half a second is a really large margin.
Huge. Yeah.
It was 0.64 if I remember, and I was really stoked about it.
Yeah.
And I ended up third because my first run wasn't so great, but I was happy I got
third
the overall. Yeah. I got the overall for the series, and it just it definitely boosted me up going into like the last race, like the spring series of the season. And I felt like I had more to prove to some of the girls that were at regionals, that were at nationals. Yeah. And so I was in a really positive mood going into that race.
Yeah, with confidence restored. And most importantly, your love of ski racing, because you actually really love it, right?
Yeah.
So it would have been so sad had you just kind of gotten so immersed in all the, challenges of the year that you didn't have this, this potential wasn't realized.
Yeah. It was definitely really hard to like manage my emotions in the beginning.
Yeah.
And I feel like when we got to that like ending point of the season, I was feeling a lot happier. I wasn't really thinking about the past as much and what a different outcome could have been if I went to regionals versus where I was. But I think I kind of settled in with the fact that I was happy that I managed to prove myself like a lot at the tri-divisionals race. And even going into Snowbird, the slalom was rough again. But that slalom, I don't think I've ever finished a good one there. And there's always next season, of course. But one of my runs, I had a little bit of confidence boosting because I started maybe like 4th because of the flip. I was, in the back 20 or something. And I'd ended up 12th for the run, which was my best slalom result of the season.
Amazing.
So that was definitely really uplifting. But I didn't want to think about it anymore. I was just turned on for GS mode because that is my best event.
I love it.
Well, one thing you said that I love, there's always next season. And I think something that Stephen Nyman and Lindsey Vaughn have showed us, like you surround yourself with a really great group of people, a support system. Stephen always goes back to, look, I created a whole system for myself that allowed everyone on my team to get involved. this camaraderie with the female. We saw at the Worlds here, the girls, and even though they're all competitors, they have such a bond. But there's always next season, and you can continue to get better. And I think as a high school athlete, as a college athlete, you're so worried about peaking or being done and losing that sense of identity. But if you stay positive, if you surround yourself with a great group of people, if you enjoy and love the sport, there is always a next season.
Of course.
Especially with the resources like the QNRT and the AIMIT that can keep that longevity. And again, I think Steven was telling Ryder Sarchet, my best season was at 38 and he was skiing until he was like 40. And Ryder's over here at like 21, 22. And he's like, yeah, I had like a bad season. He's like, you got a lot of years ahead of you, young Jedi.
Yeah, it's just a matter of picking up, and there's in any sport, right? There's always a next race, there's always a next competition. But it's that resilience as a young athlete that's I feel like that's what you can always take out of this season, no matter what happens for the rest of your life, where you know you have tools to transform difficulty and transform challenges to victories. I mean, what an amazing story. And I think it's important, teenagers, I mean, how many friends of or how many schoolmates do you have that feel happy each day, right? I mean, it's a difficult time for teenagers.
It's really hard, especially with all the technology and social media. And I think everyone is just like trying to compare themselves to others. And for ski racing, when you have a good team, like good athletes on your team, you're always comparing yourself to them, but it also helps you get better. Like in training, you're trying to lay down better times than your teammates. And sometimes you do, sometimes you don't, but that kind of gives you expectations going into races. So going into the GS, I had been laying down like maybe a second faster than one of my friends, like on average in training and stuff. So I kind of had expectations, like she'd gone to Western regionals and I hadn't. And I had something still to like prove even after my great success. So after first round, I wasn't very happy with how I did. I was in
This was the last race of the year.
This was the last race, yeah. I was in 11th, and which is still pretty good. Like I started outside of the seed, and to get into the seed was pretty good. And it was just really slick, and I was not having a great time. It was a little crazy out there.
And was this here?
This was in Snowbird again.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is our spring series. But going into second rung, I was kind of like, I have nothing to lose. Like, I just need to lay it all out there. And I wasn't too happy that, like, one of my teammates that I know I could do better than, was ahead of me. And I remember just feeling like, I don't really care if I crash or not. I just want to...
Do you know how much confidence that takes?
Fearless, Bianca, fearless.
Yeah, I don't really care if I crash.
Maybe that wasn't the right word.
I want to try, like, I want to ski my best I can. And that run was, wow. I watched that video every day. I had never skied so well. All my turns were linking up perfectly. And my coach, like, even his comments were like, yeah, she's mad. Like, she's skiing really well.
Well, anger gives you a neurotransmitter shift.
Yeah.
Determination.
Yeah. And I ended up winning that run overall by a half a second.
Amazing.
Beating all the girls that went to nationals.
What?
And yeah.
That's amazing, Bianca.
That's incredible.
So there was a little bit of a shift in mindset, which it definitely helped. And I wanted to beat one person, but I ended up beating them all. So
that's amazing.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, the best of the competitive spirit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seems to be really excited for next season.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Yeah.
So that kind of made me feel better. Like, I knew I could do it. I knew I could lay down a good run. It was something that was clean. The next day, it still went pretty well. I ended up 4th that first day overall, that was great because my first run wasn't very good. I was maybe like 2 seconds off, but my first run I was like 4, so I'd made up a lot of time, and I'd beat like my teammates by 4 seconds in that singular run.
Wow!
So
congratulations.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
But again, that's the thing is, it sounds like even no matter how you do in that particular run at this point, you're just resilient. You're like, okay, I did that. I'm going to do better, right? Or I did, I'm happy for that. And there's going to be a lot of challenges ahead where you're going to need those tools and those skills. the mental skills, right?
Yeah.
I think the amazing part of the story is not only the physical comeback, but the mental resilience that you ended the season with.
Because, of course, like, everyone has it in them physically.
You guys are all talented athletes.
Yeah, everyone is
It's a good point.
talented and stuff.
Yeah.
They all have it in them physically. Like, sometimes you can see your friend do really, really well at training. They're beating you at training, but then they just have tough races.
Yeah.
And that's where, like, the mental thing comes in. If you're not strong mentally, you're not going to be strong physically. And I think going through and, like, helping my mental state and, like, my mind, it just kind of brought it down to just, like, letting my body do the work for me and not thinking about it.
That's a really good point. Just that's what every athlete or every creative or every intellectual wants, is being in the flow. It sounds like you achieved that this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
it's
moving
amazing.
forward, what do you tell yourself now that maybe you wish you could have told yourself in those moments?
I'd probably tell myself it's going to be okay. Like, everyone has each other's back. Like, it was amazing to see how much closer our teammates got after everything happened and how the community was. And I just, I would tell myself just keep pushing and, you know, sometimes just, like, focus on yourself and not think about the things that you can't control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great, Bianca.
We're really excited for you, proud of you, impressed by you.
And thanks for sharing the story too, because we never know how people are struggling, right? And I just know that, I know because of my work, that a lot of people are struggling really hard. And I think sharing these stories, especially as a teenager, there's not a lot of resources for teenagers. And sharing the story of how you just showed up and, you know, you were open to getting through this and open to help is really remarkable. Yeah,
the work would definitely be beneficial for any teenager, like, if they had access to it. I feel like our entire school environment, like, everywhere, everyone would be happier. It would be easier to learn. Everyone would maybe even be smarter.
Oh,
yeah.
That's my mission.
Thing.
Yeah. Christina has a vision that neurofeedback is in every school system, right?
Elementary school system.
Yeah, because it takes a person's innate talents and skills and magnifies them. So everyone's operating at their very best. Like, when you bring neurofeedback in with somebody, I feel like it makes you 10 times a person. You're thinking more clearly, your nervous system's processing, you're able to optimize your natural talents and skills. We all have our different talents, right? Like,
More resilient, you have a higher stress tolerance, you can focus easier.
That's our vision, is that everyone
mine.
has access. Yeah, one of our visions is that everyone has access to these tools. It's out in a bigger, people know about neurofeedback. It becomes more commonplace. The QNRT as well, like, I mean, we have huge turnarounds in just a couple of sessions. Yeah. You didn't even do that much work.
I only did like 12, I think.
Yeah, this is a span of December to March.
Yeah.
This whole story.
No. I mean, compared to last year, like, the springtime was a really stressful season for me for, like, school and skiing. And last year I was having, like, panic attacks, and I had really bad anxiety. And, you know, this year I ended up being able to finish, like, well, I'm finishing off still, but finish the year strong in both my skiing and my school. Like, I haven't had a panic attack in who knows how long. Like,
that's right. You know, I forgot about that you did. And I think last year your mom tried to have you come in one time. You came in one time and you weren't really, like, too interested.
Yeah, we did QNRT one time. I was a little bit skeptical, but you know, sometimes you have to listen to your parents because they know what's better for you. Yeah.
Sometimes you just have to.
Yeah.
But it also takes, like, this was a more intense year, right? Like, sometimes it takes that level of stress to be open to things. There's not many other solutions out there.
Yeah. When you're really down and you just, like, don't want to get out of the house, you don't even want to go ski and do the thing that you love. Like, you know, you really have to just, like, give in and try anything you can to help you feel better.
Yeah.
You get to the point where you're ready to try.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're more open to things.
That's why I always say people come in also when the time is right? Like, it's not a matter of forcing people in, but when it's finally to the point they're like, I need help, right? I think you felt that this year. You needed help.
Yeah, no, I was really down. Like, I wasn't necessarily, like, crying every day, but I felt like it inside.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I just felt, like, helpless, and I couldn't, I was, like, struggling, and it was still winter break. Like, it was my birthday, too. Like, I didn't want to do anything for my birthday. I didn't want to see any of my friends.
When's your birthday?
January 2nd.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was
that's a great birthday for ski racing.
Yeah. It was 2 days after I had broken my hand, and I was there. I had my brace on, and I was like, oh, dang it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, now to this day, how do you feel?
I feel a lot better. Last time I went in, we did like a tune-up where we were like checking it out, and I was like just way more uplifted.
Yeah.
And I didn't even need like that much work. Like it lasted, and it made me feel a ton like better.
I mean, you learned the tools. I don't actually think you will need that much work. And if something does happen, we can handle it really quickly in just a matter of appointments because you have all the foundational work and you have all the tools.
That's what we love about the work is once you get the foundational tools, like a quick tune-up, you bounce right back.
I think sometimes you do like even like you have a bad day and you feel like the world is ending and one reset pulls you up and everything's good again. That's literally how it works is you can be, you feel totally overwhelmed, feel so terrible. One QNRT reset, the next day you feel back to yourself, right? It's just the resilience is there. From now on for you,
sure.
You'll always have those tools. So thank you so much, Bianca, for taking the time to share your story too, because I think it helps other people to hear about those turnarounds.
Yeah. Thank you so much, guys.
Yeah.
And thank you, Molly, for your work.
Oh, you're welcome.
I would not be here if it weren't for you.
Aw, thank you, Bianca.
Yeah.
And you're going to kill it next season. I look forward to watching you. I'm going to be...
She'll be there with
tuning
the posters.
Well, enjoy the rest of your year and your summer, and I'm
you.
sure we will be seeing you again soon.
Yeah, thanks, Bianca.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you for joining us on today's episode of Centered Presents The Future of Health. If you're interested in learning more, please visit us at drmollybrown.com or email us at media@drmollybrown.com.